Hi, today we're going to show you how to use the Funky Needlework Easiest Geese and Cathedral Windows ruler, which works really well with the Funky Needlework Curvy Geese ruler, but we've shown you that one in another video, which I'm sure you'll go and look for. So I'm just going to show you this one today. One of the patterns is this, and then we'll move on to Cathedral Windows. So this is geese. So this is a traditional pattern that's normally lots of little triangles, lots of cutting out and a little bit fiddly. This is the easiest thing you're ever going to do. So I'm just going to move that to one side a little bit. So you need two pieces of fabric, an inner and an outer. I've used white for the outer, and you can use up all your tiny little scrappy bits. You'll see on the ruler that it has place on fold twice. So for the outer piece, the bigger piece, you have the fold on the outer piece. So there's a fold there. I'm just going to use this. I'm rotating this just because it's speed, really. Okay. You don't need to put a small rotary cutter for this one. I like one, but you don't need one. You can use your ordinary 45mm rotary cutter. This is an 18mm. I like this for curves, but it also works well for small things like this. Right, okay, just check that's brilliant. Okay, so make sure I've actually cut it on a fold. You don't want to have that there, that's great. And you also need a coloured piece. Right, okay. So on the ruler, you'll see that there's a place on fold, a dotted line as well. So you put that one on the fold, and it's the large area that you're going to cut around, not the small one. And make sure that you press down enough. This is almost the right size at this side. And across the top. I'm always cutting away from myself, always very conscious of safety. It's not fun if you cut yourself. Right, okay, and final one. That's brilliant, little bits off there. And it's, again, I'm just going to check it's on the fold. So this is the great bit. Okay, so you're going to have a folded piece, that fold in the middle. Open it up like a book. This folded piece, put the fold there and then turn it away from yourself. So from your side, in the middle, turn it away from yourself, and then put the open edges at the bottom of this rectangle with the one side right into the fold there. Right into the fold. So you'll have a little bit of space on two sides, and then this one you're going to close it like a book. And this is going to sound funny, but yes, you are going to stitch over the fold edge. You're going to stitch a quarter edge down this folded edge here. So inside you'll be encompassing all of those raw edges that were there earlier on. You can lengthen your stitch if you've got 4 layers of fabric. I'm just going to lengthen mine slightly. If you lengthen your stitch, remember to slow it down slightly as well, because otherwise it go galloping across the work. There we go. All the way across, one end to the other and off the other edge. Take out your work. Cut off your spaghetti. Much easier to work without spaghetti dangling all over the place. Then you're going to open it up. Little pleat down there. Open up this piece. Open up like this. Line up your bottom edges, and you have got the most amazing flying geese. Now that is really good. Now, if that were not enough, you then can go on to do cathedral windows. So here's the other piece I did earlier on. I'm going to put this face to face. Now, the only thing I'm going to do with this, sometimes if you're not sure about movement, you might want to stitch down the edge here less than 1/4 inch. But when I say less than 1/4 inch, I mean really close to the edge. It's not compulsory, but I'll do this one so that you can see, because it does two things. First of all, it stops these corners from moving around, but it also holds one of the seams in place on the back for the next stage, which is always very useful. That's it. So you've got a choice. You can either line them up and stitch them up in a line like this, so that will be, flip that over and stitch it together, or you can turn that one round one on top of the other, face to face, as if it were a square like this. And then, if I just show you the seams there, make sure that one seam is pointing that way and one seam is pointing that way. Nest them together so that they're like this. Pin them, because this bit is quite important that you pin it. You don't want those moving around inside your machine. And I'm going to put one pin in the middle, that's it. Whoops, there it is. The pin doesn't want to be picked up. One pin in the middle, and I'm going to put it up the seam. And then I'm going to start stitching from one side all the way across. Ooh, a little bit of spaghetti there. All the way across this seam. Now you might think, well, that's just one square on top of another, but it's not. There's a big surprise involved in this. And I've got to the middle, so I'm just going to adjust the other side just to make sure that it's stayed where I want it to be. You can pin it if you want to, but you won't. See there, that's bunched up a little bit. Leave the needle in, lift the foot up, put it back down, take the pin out, and you're off again. Okay, so this is the exciting bit. I'm going to open this up. And yes, we've got this lovely cathedral window-ish shape. So this bit curls back and you get a curve. And this bit curls back and you get a curve. And you'll see behind me on over my shoulder, oh, I feel like a weather person now. Over my shoulder here, we've got cathedral windows here. And that is how you do this. And then you can either stitch them down by hand, you have to pull them back on that side. You could always tuck them under if you wanted to have a curve on your corner. I like to see the fold though. And you can either do it on, you stitch on and off the edge, right down the middle. Use one of your fancy embroidery stitches, whatever takes your fancy really. And then you stitch them together and you've got cathedral window quilt. Far faster than anything else you could ever imagine. And that is how you use the Funky Needlework Easiest Geese and Cathedral Windows ruler.